Hello Sister, Goodbye Life was released in 2006. This is directed by Stephen Robman and it's written by Marc, Levy and Nell Scovell based on the book by Claire Scovell Lazebni, and we have a cast including Lacey Chabert as Olivia and Samantha Hanratty as Celia. And it's a really powerful film. It's very, very well done. The first thing I want to talk about is the title. And I don't talk about film titles that much. Maybe I should do that more. But when I read that title and then I read the brief description, I thought that is powerful because I imagine that's what it would feel like. Because the story is about Olivia, whose parents die, so she has to look after her younger sister, her 7-year-old sister. Now, in theory, I guess she didn't have to, but the alternative is that her sister would potentially have to go into the system, into the care system. So obviously Olivia wants to look after her sister, but as the title suggests, she could be giving up her life as she knows it. So while the title, I think, sounds very harsh, I think it's probably that initial reaction of what it might feel like to find out that this is now your life. And I think that it's quite eye-opening in that regard. And obviously that's what the film explores. It's the aftermath of Olivia and Celia's parents' death and the emotions that come with it. And it did sound like it was going to be really, really heavy. Obviously, it's an emotional narrative, and it does get very emotional at times, but we also have some lighter moments too, and that really helps to make it a bit more balanced. It makes it more watchable as well. They could have made it much heavier if they wanted to, but I think by keeping it light, it made it a little bit more interesting and maybe a little bit more believable as well, because through the darkness there is often a moment of hope or a moment of relief, and I think it works quite well. We have some very well written, likable characters. The relationship between Olivia and Celia feels very believable, very realistic. It was very easy to buy into the narrative, and of course that makes it more emotional as well, because I was really believing everything that I was seeing. We have some really good lighting, some good camera work, and we have a nice variety in locations and activities just to keep things a little bit more engaging. And in general, I'd say it's an enjoyable film that's not too depressing. It has a nice balance with some moments of hope and optimism, and that does make it a bit more of a bearable film than if it was a lot darker. Obviously, there are plenty of films that take a much heavier approach. This one, I think, gives us moments of relief from the heavier emotions, and I think they did a really, really great job with that. The performances are great, the characters are well written, the characters are very believable and very likable, and I think the narrative has a lot to offer, and that title is something that it really stood out to me. As I said, I don't really talk about film titles that often, but that one sounded brutal but honest, and I think quite impactful there. Hello Sister, Goodbye Life addresses a really important topic that I think would probably affect far too many people. And in that regard, I think it has a lot to offer. But even if it's not something to which you can relate, it's still an interesting story with some great characters, and certainly a film that I'm happy to recommend.